As we discussed earlier, a JSP is nothing but a servlet. What we were doing in the login servlet is we were redirecting to this JSP, and actually internally this login.jsp would be converted into a servlet. Everything that you can do in a servlet, you can also do in a login.jsp. You can actually write a lot of Java code in the JSP. This is not really recommended stuff, but it's good that you know it's possible. So let's write some Java code in the JSP. The way we do that is by doing something called scriptlets. In a JSP, anything that you write in within these two things is called a scriptlet. So let's try. Let's do a system.out.println in here. System.out.println dummy. Execute the request again and let's see our console in Eclipse. You'd see that whatever we have put in here is being printed. So if I change this to dummy2 and refresh, you'd see that dummy2 is printed to the console. That's very good. So you can write Java code in the JSP. This is called a scriptlet, and even things like I would want to, let's say, get the request parameter. So let's say I would not want to print dummy2, but I would want to say request dot get parameter. What is the parameter that we are passing in? Name. Let's see what happens now. So refresh. I'm passing in the name as in 28 minutes. What would be printed on the console? In 28 minutes, because that's the request.parameter. There are a few implicit things available like request session. Request is one among them. So we can use request to get the parameter name. So what we are doing in here is writing a lot of Java code. I mean, you can even do loops int I is equal to 0. I mean, anything that you can do in Java, you can do it in here. Let's print current time. So java.util.date. Date is equal to new java.util. And if I want to print the value of date, I can also do something like this. In HTML, we use divs to format code. So I'll use a div in here, div/div, and say current date is, and I want to print the value of the variable date. We can use a scriptlet expression to do that. So I want to print the value which is written by date. So this is how I can do that. So what we have done is we have created a variable called date, and I'm doing current date is date. Let's refresh and see what happens. So you can see that current date is Thursday, December 31, 10:56 IST. That's what is printed in here in this particular div. You can even do imports in here. Let's say I remove the java.util from here. In Eclipse, you can do a control space and it shows the options. I want to use java.util. You'd see that in the first line, an import is added in. Similar to a Java import, in a JSP, you import using page. So at page, import is equal to whatever classes that you would want to import. The same rules which apply to importing in a Java class applies to the importing in a JSP. What we are seeing effectively right now is the fact that in a JSP, you can write a lot of Java code. This is called a scriptlet. Here we are using something called a scriptlet expression. This piece of thing is called an expression language. Now, you know what is possible. You can write Java code in a JSP, but JSP is a view. You should only show information. You should not have any business logic. The moment you have a lot of Java code in a JSP, a lot of business logic tends to creep in. And to avoid it, we will not use any Java code in any of our examples in the JSP. We will not use scriptlets, neither we would use scriptlet expressions. All that we would be using is things called EL, expression language, which is things like this, $open brace, and we would use something called JSTL. It's a set of tag libraries, standard tag libraries, which we would be using. We will not use scriptlets and scriptlet expressions in this particular course. Neither do we recommend to use scriptlets in any real world application. Scriptlets is a very, very bad practice, and we would recommend to avoid using scriptlets in all the web applications. The best place to put in your business logic is in your business layer. This servlet controls the flow, and the JSP is a view. So in the view, you would not have any Java code. All that you would need to do is to take something and show it. And that kind of things can easily be done by using expression language and also JSTL. That's a little bit of theoretical background on EL, scriptlets and scriptlet expressions. Now that you have this knowledge, you are ready to go into step 4.